All right, so we got the 1095 spoilers, and this chapter is super exciting, just like the rest have been. But unfortunately, we're not really getting into the big reveal from the previous chapter. And that's fine because there's a whole bunch of other monumental reveals in this chapter, but I'm mainly talking about Saturn, the Gorosei member, and him revealing his devil fruit in the previous chapter. So I guess he reached like his patience level, and he just jumped into Egghead, immediately took back control of the Pacifistas from Vegapunk, and then transformed into his devil fruit form, which is ostensibly an awakened mythical Zhoniin, where he has like half of a spider body with like bull horns, maybe devil horns, I don't know. There is like a obvious demonic element to his transformation, but it's possible he's like based off of a Japanese yokai, like a supernatural folklore creature thing, maybe Ushioni. And he was coming across Vegapunk, seemingly gonna take him out for good, and Frankie, Sanji, and Bonnie was with him, and when Bonnie saw Saturn, she like grabbed a sword, lunged at him, and stabbed him in the chest, and like Saturn, for some reason, just was cool with this. Like, he didn't stop it, and he just looked at Bonnie doing it, and he just watched Bonnie as she did it. And in the final two panels of the chapter, we see Bonnie crying and Saturn just looking at her, and it's interesting. It's like, is Saturn kind of feeling bad for Bonnie? Does he like Bonnie? Because that's taking us into this chapter, because we see Kuma's flashback and how his father died. Then I assume that's continuing, because going further, God Valley flashback. There is a tournament organized by the Celestial Dragons in God Valley, in which they make all kinds of people with different races fight each other. We see young Garling Figureland, and he looks exactly like Shanks, but with a different hairstyle. And then finally, the race of Kuma is revealed. So yeah, this is like a jam-packed chapter. And like I said, I'm pretty sure the end of the previous chapter is sparking like this flashback, right? Because I assume Saturn has something to do with Kuma becoming the way that he is, given what Bonnie was remembering in the previous chapter. She was like remembering somebody giving the orders to erase Kuma's memory. And it's, very likely Saturn was at God Valley too, because why not? I mean, not all the time, but maybe, at the big war that they had that ultimately wound up getting it destroyed, with Rox, Roger, and Garp. But now we finally know at least just what God Valley is in general, and it was like a tournament island for the Celestial Dragons. So the parallel between the Merimero no Mi at Dressrosa to God Valley could be maybe if you defeat Garling in a match or something, then you'd get Kaido's fruit as a prize, possibly. And I only say that because the Merimero no Mi was like a prize in Dressrosa, so I assume there maybe was a prize at God Valley as well, other than just simply determining the termination of tribes, which is like awful, of course. So I guess like if the fishermen won, that means the fishermen would survive and then the others would just get eradicated. So maybe that's why all of Kuma's race is gone. All of the Lunarians are gone. Only King is left. Now, I don't think the prize is always going to be a mythical Zoa Devil Fruit, of course, but it just so happens that it was like at this big tournament, I suppose, when the final war with, Garps, Rox, and Roger went down, Big Mom was able to swipe it or whatever, and then gave it to Kaido. But now also going further, we also see young Garling in this chapter. Now we knew that Garling was associated with God Valley because the narration for him said, his name is Saint Figurlin Garland, a dominating figure who once distinguished himself at a place called God Valley. Today he is the supreme commander of the Holy Knights. So I guess Garling was like the champion of God Valley, possibly. If we're going back to like gladiator days, which I suppose this could be paralleling to, as well as like other, disgusting slave stuff that's happened throughout history. I'm pretty sure there was like, the champion gladiators that would only come out for like main events or whatever, or would just come out to like slaughter somebody just for the crowd. There'd be like, like a pro wrestling champion, but it was like real. And Garling very likely was like one of these people. And he probably just came out and slaughtered whoever won. And he liked doing it because clearly you know, he hates all the other races, as he makes very clear in the only dialogue that we hear from him. And he's, you know, with the celestial dragons, and his beard and hair is shaped like a moon. And, you know, we know by now in this series, Moon probably going to be a bad guy. Not always, but most of the time. And then Sun is like definitely good guy. But real quick, guys, can you follow me on TikTok, please? Yes, I do have a TikTok, and I've been uploading on it for the last couple months now. I have like over 250 followers right now, so thank you guys who are following me. But if you don't have time to watch my full videos during the day on YouTube, you can head over to TikTok and just catch me talking about the main stuff that happens in all of the series in like around 90 seconds or so. Also, please don't leave YouTube if you're going to TikTok. I don't want to divert traffic away from YouTube. But yeah, thanks guys, I appreciate it. Now also, the other huge thing here is that it says he looks exactly like Shanks but with a different hairstyle. And that doesn't really surprise me, because if you'll go back to when we first started talking about Garling, I think it was like back in June, right? One of our first speculations was that he's probably Shanks' dad. And it's like, you know, how did we come across that? Because he doesn't really look like Shanks right now. And Shanks is a pirate. Well, long story short, in the Film Red movie companion info, something like that. I don't remember where this is released. I don't think it's stated in the movie, but it says something along the lines that Utah is associated with the Figureland family of the Celestial Dragons. And the only way that that would make sense is if Shanks was a Figureland himself, since we see Utah actively adopted by Shanks. And we always speculated that Shanks was a freaking Celestial Dragon anyway, because he was found in a treasure chest at God Valley by Roger. So it seems like Garling left Shanks behind, maybe because he just felt he was going to be a failure or something, maybe. I don't know. But this also explains why Shanks is so freaking powerful, because his dad is, you know, one of the strongest guys to ever live. Like, I'm sure back in the day, Garling was rivaling Garp, Roger, and Rox. I mean, why not? Only the Gorosei and Emu would only put somebody of that level as the, you know, top commander of the Holy Knights, because that's essentially the highest rank of power, at least on the power scale, that I can see in the world government outside of the Gorosei and Emu, right? Because if you're ranking the world government as a whole on paper right now with the knowledge that we have, it would be like number 1 Emu, and then 2 through 6 would be the Gorosei, and then number 7 would be like Garling, right? And yes, I'm putting him above Aki Inu because I assume he would have to be stronger than him, at least if just not by a little bit. And then finally, we'll address the Kuma stuff in this chapter, because it says that we see Kuma's flashback and how his father died, and then the race of Kuma is revealed. So we also found out through a flashback of Bonnie's that Kuma was, or I guess it was just a flashback of Kuma, or both of them, that Kuma was a different race. He's like a special race. He's not just like a regular human. And that's understandable. You know, he is huge and tan and has interesting features and whatnot. I mean, he's basically a human, but it doesn't always work that way in One Piece. Now, also, I think the race of Kuma is important because he's the same race as Blackbeard. And of course, no, that's not confirmed. We don't know anything about Blackbeard yet. But the GOAT, Uteron, great Japanese YouTuber who I follow, you guys should too. He made a video a couple months back speculating that Kuma's special race is the same race that Blackbeard is. And I thought it was pretty interesting because if you think about it, they are similar. Like, they do have kind of like the same hair and same kind of tan skin, you know, and Kuma looks different facially than Blackbeard, but overall they're similar. And Marco said, you know, famously at this point at Marineford, that he thought that Blackbeard could have multiple devil fruits because his body is different, or his body is weird, or whatever, I'm paraphrasing. And that could ultimately mean because he is of a different race. He is of this special race that Kuma is, and this race is capable of consuming and maintaining multiple devil fruits without dying. Maybe. Or it's just, you know, the power of the darkness Logia that allows him to do it. And it's all going to come full circle, I'm sure. And maybe we'll find out it has something to do with them not sleeping or something. I don't know. Maybe that more so goes into the colder climate people. I'm talking way back Drum Island dialogue between Sanji and Luffy type stuff. All right, guys, we actually got some breaking spoilers, because as I was recording the first set of spoilers here, we got the second set. So I'm going to try to mix these in and make everything make sense the best I can. So God Valley is the location for a tournament Nothing directly tied to Kuma. So I guess that means that Kuma's dad didn't participate in the God Valley tournament and that he didn't die there. I don't know, I guess we're seeing something else. But I do think that Kuma has something to do with God Valley for sure. Maybe just not the tournament, even though it says directly tied, but eventually it seems like something will have to. But aside from that, we're also getting some more stuff on Garling. So we see young Garling Figureland. He didn't have his beard, so it's not the moon shape we've seen recently. And I assumed so. I mean, if he looks exactly like Shanks, he's obviously not going to have a beard. He's going to have some stubble or something. Something to just fully show his face. You know, the beard would obstruct it. And then his hair, I guess, is just the half of a crescent, maybe, unless he has just like Shanks's mid-2000s cut. And then finally, God Valley apparently is said to be in the West Blue. And that finally brings everything full circle, which is hilarious because for the longest time, it was said that Shanks was born in the West Blue. I think that was revealed in his Viver card. And I myself have said this in multiple videos. And I'm very happy to call myself out for this because I was saying, like, the Viver card was wrong. So I don't know, whoever put that in there was just putting some placeholder information for Shanks to throw us off the scent of him possibly being a celestial dragon. But it's like, no, I was the one who couldn't catch the scent because it was the truth the whole time, because God Valley is in the West Blue. And it's very likely that Shanks was born on God Valley, you know, like we talked about being the son of Garling. So yeah, Shanks was born in the West Blue, and you know, God Valley was eventually destroyed or removed. That's why it's not there anymore. Assumed by the Mother Flame / Uranus from Emu. And we'll eventually find out, maybe even soon, like what caused that to happen. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the spoilers for now. I assume the summary is going to come out in the next 2 days, and if it does, I will definitely make a video about that, so subscribe if you haven't already, guys. And of course, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you liked the video, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.